Helping people is what I'm all about. Just don't expect any good results.
You got a steady back home? Because my exquisite derriere might make you say otherwise.
Don't expect me to fight the power without creating a scene.
Hello and welcome to the Real Housewives of River Heights. My name is Jade Gregory, and as always, we have my wonderful and amazing fellow housewives, Tina.
Hello, my beautiful dolls.
And Nikki.
Hello.
All right, as always, spoiler warning for those who have not yet played the Nancy Drew video game series. There will be swearing, talks of alcohol, etc. So kick the kiddos out and let's get rolling. All right, y'all. Today we will be discussing the final scene. Final scene is the fifth installment in the Nancy Drew point-and-click adventure game series by Her Interactive. The game is loosely based on a book of the same name from 1989. The final scene is the 38th book in the Nancy Drew files, and it was first published in August by Archway Paperbacks. All right. The game, on the other hand, was released in November of 2001, and the game takes place in St. Louis, where the book originally took place in River Heights.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, I just found that today. So, our plot for the game. our plot. Nancy Drew and her friend Maya Nguyen are at the Royal Palladium Theater in St. Louis for the premiere of a new movie, Vanishing Destiny. Maya is set to interview the star of the film, Brady Armstrong, for her school's newspaper. But as Maya goes into his dressing room, she is kidnapped. Nancy has to race against time to find Maya and the kidnapper before the theater is demolished in 3 days. Oh, I do have the book premise written down. It says, for the book that this is based on, it says, when a handsome teen idol comes to Nancy's hometown, crime grabs the spotlight. Film star Brady Armstrong is in River Heights for the premiere of his newest movie at the Grand Old Century Cinema. When Nancy's friend Bess decides to go backstage to see her heartthrob, she stumbles into a kidnapping meant for the movie act. But the kidnapper doesn't want ransom money. He demands that the planned demolition of the Century Cinema Theater be halted, or Bess will be destroyed with it. Unable to prevent the wreckers from tearing down the building, Nancy races against the time to discover where Bess is hidden and unmask the mysterious figure who is dead set on stealing the show.
So that's interesting. In the book, it was Bess who got kidnapped. So does that mean that Maya was a made-up character? Or is she actually in the books?
She is a made-up character.
Interesting. I wonder why they did that. Why they didn't just have it be Bess. I mean, I guess this was way before Ransom of the Seven Ships, too. So it's not even like they'd already done that.
Well, maybe at that time they didn't plan on showing Bess.
Maybe.
But then at some point they decided, okay, it's fine to show Bess and George, but not Ned. Not Ned.
That is very interesting that they did create a whole character to play that role. Interesting.
Was Bess like also in the book? Was she a reporter or?
No, in the book, Bess, I think, went to school with Brady Armstrong. She somehow, for some reason, wanted to like sneak behind stage to go meet Brady, and then she ends up getting taken because the kidnapper was there for Brady, and Bess got in the way.
Brady in school? That sounds weird.
Something along those lines. I mean, in the book, Brady Armstrong's also a sci-fi movie star.
Also in the game, I think he's older because he has the whole thing about how he's like struggling with balding.
You could be young and struggle with balding.
That is true. People do bald in their 20s. I just assumed he was getting
Well, he
older,
does
but...
look older. He does look older. So if he is younger, I'm sorry, but
yeah, I think in the book he's a teen idol, so he's probably like in his, I don't know, teens.
Yeah, game Brady. He doesn't get asked. Well, so what's your ID when he goes to a bar? What's your ID? Where's your ID, young man? No.
Yeah, I have the prologue letter written down too for funsies. I can read that as well. So Nancy actually writes this letter to Bess. So she says, "Dear Bess, remember Maya from high school? I'm visiting her in St. Louis. We have tickets to tonight's premiere of the new Brady Armstrong movie, Vanishing Destiny. It's the last screening ever at the Royal Palladium. This place has been a landmark for almost a century, and now, in just 3 days, it's going to be demolished. I wish I could have seen the theater back in the 20s before it turned into a movie house. All the great magicians performed here. Even Harry Houdini. There's a lot of public opposition. Loss of this historic building. Rumor has it local activists are planning to stage a big protest out front tonight. The theater will be closed when we arrive, but they'll let us in since Maya's covering the story for the university newspaper. Oh boy, a press pass sure does come in handy. Maya told me she has an interesting lead, and we're on our way to interview Brady Armstrong about the controversy now. I know he's one of your favorite stars. Stay tuned. Maya always gets the full scoop. Talk to you soon. Love, Nancy. So it's like a little bit also more on the plot because you find out that the place used to be a place for the magicians to perform, which that is a cool part about the plot. All the different magicians that are like up on the walls and things like that, and all their information.
Yeah, I guess they never really explained why they were having this movie premiere in St. Louis, though, right? Because nobody knows about the connection between the theater and Brady, so it's not as if they were trying to capitalize off of that. It seems pretty odd that this movie was having its premiere in like St. Louis, Missouri, because typically I think in the Nancy Drew universe, Brady Armstrong is supposed to be like a pretty famous actor, so you would think it'd be like New York or LA, but
Yeah.
It's one of those things in my head. I was like, he thinks he's a big shot, but he's not actually. It's more like a delusion. More
yeah, it's like this is like an indie film or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes across as very indie film. Like it's not that big of a deal, which I mean, he's kind of not that big of a deal in my opinion. So
Yeah, and like also none of the other cast members are even there. It's just him. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
they show up later, but at least during the events of the game, there's like no one else there.
yeah, I can't. That's a plot hole. I literally don't know why it's taking place there.
Yeah, it really doesn't make sense. Also, like, I feel like it would have made more sense for the theater to be in, like, LA or a big city. Because because why would this theater that, like, all these famous magicians performed at be in, like, I know St. Louis is a city, so, like, before anyone comes for me, I know that, but it's in Missouri. Like, I just feel like it's not a film town or an entertainment town, so, like, why would all these magicians be coming to Missouri?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there are a lot of I can't think of it, but I've heard of a lot of like random towns in random city, random towns in random states, or not towns, cities where they are known for being the central of something, and it's like, but why there? But it just so happens that that's where all of the people, like magicians or I don't know, Olympians or stuff like that, they all just congregate there for some reason.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe St. Louis, Missouri, maybe that's the spot where all the magicians love to hang out, I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know, like I just took I just that's how I interpreted it. Also, I think that building where it's taking place, that theater was an actual theater that got demolished. So maybe that chose that location because of it was a real place. So
Maybe.
and it is, well, so they wanted to use it, for this game's plot, and maybe showcase some real history over here.
Yeah, that makes sense. I thought of another piece of evidence towards the Brady Armstrong is not that famous theory, which is that Maya is able to get an interview with him and she works for like a college newspaper, which like think about this, okay? If it was like, imagine it was like, oh, who's like a famous male actor right now? Like Timothy Chalamet. Imagine that, like, Timothy Chalamet was premiering a new movie in New York, and some student from, like, Columbia was, like, trying to interview him. Would she get that interview?
No.
No. So, like, why would
This
Maya
isn't
get an
50 Shades of
interview?
Grey.
Yes. Why would Maya get an interview with Brady Armstrong? Because Brady Armstrong is not that famous.
Yeah, I mean, you said that Timothy Chalamet already. There's a the bar is too high. The bar is up in
That's
the
what
sky.
I'm saying. Like, I feel like the game wants you to think that Brady Armstrong is like that level of famous, but he's not. The evidence is not showing that he's that famous.
I mean, maybe not the level of Timothy Chalamet, more maybe
None of you judge me. I had to Google who that was.
Okay, Timothy Chalamet is the kind of person, he's everywhere. He is everywhere. He's getting all the contracts, but you have no idea which movies he has done. But he has all the contracts.
He was in Call Me by Your Name, and he was in the new Dune.
Yeah, Little Woman.
Yeah, Little Women.
I Googled him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's getting all the contracts. He
Does
is
more indie films though, in my
yeah indie films, yeah, more like while Tom Holland he is looks at Timothy Chalamet, he's like, why is this guy getting all the contracts? What am I doing wrong? So Tom Holland has done one big movie, so his name is done, like he is known, everybody pretty much know who Tom Holland is because of Marvel, but like, what has he done?
Hey, he's done other stuff.
Yeah, but nobody cares because everybody's like, Timothy Chalamet is in everything. He's getting all the contracts. Timothy Chalamet is like the better version of Tom Holland. And the better actor.
Hot take.
I'm here. I'm saying I'm spitting all the facts here. I don't know why we got into a tangent about.
The point being is that Brady Armstrong is neither Timothy Chalamet nor Tom Holland.
No, he's not.
He's irrelevant.
I'm over here like, why are you doing my Tom Holland dirty like that?
I don't even know why I brought up Tom Holland. Tom Holland is better than.
Those are fighting words.
Oh my gosh! But I'm trying really hard to find a real life equivalent to Brady Armstrong. But honestly,
That's because he's a B-lister.
Yeah, I'm trying to
But
think of like B-list male actors. Like, oh my god, who's that one guy? Adam Devine, the guy from Pitch Perfect. I feel like he's like that level of famous.
Oh my gosh! I don't even know if I would say he's the same level as that guy. I don't even know who he is, but like,
I'll post a picture later.
I feel like while we're at it, I guess we are into characters now. But okay,
unless
so
someone has something to say about
I feel
plot.
like if you compare anybody to Brady Armstrong, you're pretty much insulting them, to be honest.
True.
Any actors out there, I don't know. Is there anybody who deserves that kind of comparison? I don't know. I don't know.
Who's like an actor that is famous but like can't act? That would be Brady Armstrong, I feel like.
I don't know. Who's that one? No, you know, I was gonna say that one actor who's getting all the Netflix young adult
Noah
movies.
Centineo?
But like, even Noah Centineo would be better than Brady Armstrong. Noah Centineo, I'm pretty sure he can act better than Brady Armstrong.
Not me Googling everyone we mentioned.
You gotta watch more TV, Jay.
I watch
All year.
RuPaul's Drag Race, anime, and Asian dramas, and then what else do I watch? Bridgerton.
Okay, he's not an actor, but I guess the one guy that is dating Taylor Swift right now, I guess.
Oh, Joe Alwyn?
Yeah, maybe him. Like everybody. Listen, I guess. Like, I'm pretty sure that I know that people, he has his own fan base and people are trying to make him happen, but like in reality, nobody cares. Hollywood doesn't care about him, so I guess maybe that's the real life comparison.
I think my issue for why I don't know famous people is because I don't know famous people. That's too many faces and names.
Valid, extremely valid. I myself have a really hard time. So if any of our listeners are Geminis, I'm so sorry.
Fuck.
I'm so sorry. Like, this is the Gemini representation you didn't want, but you got.
Wait, are you a Gemini?
No, I'm not a Gemini, but I feel bad for my Geminis out there.
I'm not a Gemini, but I feel bad for you.
I can't sympathize, okay? Like, the guy, he is a Gemini. It's canonized in the game. He was looking at this paper.
Oh yeah.
Astro is their version of Astro Cafe.
Oh, Brady Armstrong.
Brady
Yeah, Brady
yeah.
Armstrong. Not
Was like
Oh.
he is a Gemini, and it said on the paper that it kind of implied you are two-faced.
I mean,
Well,
they're
he
Geminis.
did his case, but like, just so you know, my Gemini listeners, I am sure that you are not necessarily two-faced bitches like Brady, but I'm just saying.
I feel like Brady is mostly just kind of wimpy because his whole thing is like how he can't stand up to his manager and do the things he wants to do. And even the things he wants to do are stupid. Like his dream is to open like a Hollywood diner. And it's like you couldn't aim higher than that, buddy. Like you don't want to be a director, you don't want to it's like
He
no, I
didn't
want to
even
open.
get he didn't even get this idea on his own. He was driving and he saw he saw a restaurant and he was like, I want something like that. It's not even an original idea.
Yeah,
He was like,
that's true.
this is a original Brady Armstrong idea, my brain. And it's like, bruh, you got inspiration by driving around and seeing other buildings. Are you kidding me?
How long do you think it would take for Gordon Ramsay to show up in Kitchen Nightmares that place?
It's raw.
Oh my, wait, oh, is it Kitchen Night? Oh, yeah, it is Kitchen Nightmares where he goes.
Yeah, to the restaurants.
Yeah, I want that.
I want someone to Photoshop a picture of like, you know, that one clip where Gordon is like, "What are you, an idiot sandwich?" And I want someone to put Brady Armstrong's head on the idiot sandwich.
Oh, yeah, that would be so funny. And honestly, though, the fact that at the end, by the way, did we do the spoiler warning?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I kind of forgot. Okay, so the fact that Brady he somehow got his reputation a bit ruined. But at the same time, he was able to able to salvage it somehow. It was implied that he managed to salvage it. I don't know. It bothers me to this day. Like, this guy
Yeah, because
not getting exposed.
by the time you get to Curse of Blackmore Manor, like, he still is famous, so he didn't lose his career, even though he sort of covered up a kidnapping. I know he wasn't the perpetrator, but he did kind of withhold evidence, and it seems like he didn't really get in trouble for that. And
Yeah, and also he gaslighted us. He was like, "Are you sure you didn't imagine those pizza boxes in that shoe, bro?
Yeah.
We held these in our hands. We're talking about."
We
What
held
do you-
it, we saw it, we grabbed it, we touched it, we ate it.
Honestly, though, like, I didn't think they could have made a more annoying version of that guy from Stay Tuned for Danger, but he did. And also, like, the fact that day one and day two, he was like very helpful, But then day 3, everything went crashing down, and he's like, "Yeah, no, I'm gonna let the demolition happen." Yeah, sucks to be you.
Yeah, I'll say one more thing about Brady and then we can move on to someone else. But I don't really understand why he thought that people knowing he was the heir to the theater would ruin his reputation, because it doesn't seem like something that. I know he's like, oh, the theater's old and like I'm trying to move forward, but it didn't really. I don't think people would hold it against him that he was like related to whatever the person's name was, J.J. Thompson.
That's the thing, though. He's dumb. He doesn't
Yeah.
have his priorities straight. Okay, he thinks that, like, okay, the building is old, so people are gonna see the building, be like, oh, old, building old, Brady old, or something like that. Building ugly, Brady ugly. It doesn't make any sense. You have
Yeah.
an old building. Who cares? But he cares so much about his image. He does all of this, but like nobody actually cares. The guy is kind of an egomaniac. Honestly, though, he thinks that people really care about his ball patch, dude. Just like who cares? Honestly, but he has his fans despite his bald patch. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Like, honestly, maybe some people will be like, "Oh, you have an old building, a loser," and all of that. Maybe some people who don't make sense, but overall, I feel like more people would care about the bald patch than
Yeah.
the fact that he was related to an old building. But honestly, I think that most people would think it is cool that he owns a building
Exactly.
like that is vintage. I think most people would care, but I don't know. He strikes more as someone who is vapid and would rather prefer stuff that is flashy.
That's very true. Yeah, he's a dum dum.
Yeah. Honestly, though, his agent, bless her heart, bless her heart, the fact that she has to manage this train wreck. Like,
It's true.
honestly, I will throw my hat to her. Yes, she is a terrible person. Yes, she covered up a lot of stuff. Yes, she made that god awful reef. She ordered that reef that is like pretty fucked up. Yes,
Yeah.
but like at the same time, she is Brady's manager. I mean, can you think of a worse job than that?
This is her description. It says Simone. Simone is Brady's self-centered agent who is always on the phone in the women's dressing room. When Maya disappears, she decides to cancel the Vanishing Destiny premiere because she thinks Maya's kidnapping is a great opportunity to drum up more press. And then it says, could she have set up this kidnapping as a publicity stunt for Brady?
I never suspected her to be the kidnapper, not even
Yeah.
1 second. I would say though that there are only maybe 1 or 2 people that I really had my radar as a suspect. It's not Brady.
Fun fact, Simone
and
was
it wasn't
Simon
Simone.
in the books.
Yes, I did know about that. They made Simone
And I
a
love how they just
woman
added
in
an E to
the
the
game.
Oh my gosh! Okay, I didn't know
They
that.
wanted her to be a girl boss.
Yep. But I mean, I love every girl boss as much as the other person next to me. Like, I love a good girl boss moment, but not when it comes to Maya. I'm sorry. Like,
She girl
Maya,
bossed too
my
hard into the
girl.
sun.
Maya, my girl. Getting all the scoops out here. My Vietnamese representation. Absent for most of the game, but I'll take it.
I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but on like I think it's the missing persons poster, Maya is described as having bad skin.
I mean,
It literally says something about her having like combination like oily skin or something, and I'm like, I'm not sure why that needed to be included.
yeah, it's okay. Okay, good. I know that now. So, I guess if we find a good skincare product for combination skin, I guess I will be thinking of her.
I'm guessing Nancy gave that description for the poster. She's like, yeah, she's a Vietnamese girl with like tons of acne just everywhere. And
Gosh. Actually, she described Maya 2 times. Once is to Nick, and
yeah,
the
to
other was
Nico,
to the
my
police.
husband.
Yes, and by the way, I can't wait to get to Nick. Not to say anything bad. Don't worry, not to say anything bad.
It's okay. He was a different person before he met me.
Oh my gosh. All right, so going back to Simone, I never really suspected her because if you think about it, the person who kidnapped Maya had to be very familiar with how the theater works. Where are the secret tunnels? Where are the secret passages? The secret rooms? I mean, I highly doubt that Miss Simone had any interest in figuring out where the rooms are, or even would really stumble into the magician's room.
That's true.
And honestly, kidnapping for stunt publicity, I mean, nah, nobody, like, it is very improbable that it would have been a good motive. They try to make it a good motive, but it's like, nah, that's that is way too fucked up. I mean, we know that she loves to make some good drama, but to go so far to commit a crime in a theater, she doesn't even know that how the theater works, all the little things. So if she gets caught, she's done for. The reef, though, I mean, the reef was as far as she would go, I guess. But nobody would believe it if it was her. So that's why I never really suspected her.
Yeah, I agree.
Brady, same reasons. Like, why? Just why?
I think his motive was that he wanted the theater gone because he didn't want. But then, no, the kidnapping was about stopping the demolitions. That's
Yeah.
makes sense.
That's the thing, though. Why is Brady considered a suspect?
I think it's because, well, Maya, I think she knew that he was connected to the theater and she was going to expose him. Because later on you find out, like, that's why he took the press pass, because he's trying to, like, make sure you don't find Maya because he doesn't want that connection exposed. And Maya was going to write about it in her article, but he didn't have any motive to stop the demolition.
That makes sense. The fact that he has reasons for people to not find Maya is already a second layer, an obstacle against Nancy. It's not actually really good, but it doesn't really help with us believing that he could be the culprit because he wants the place demolished. And although we find it out on the third day, before then we absolutely have no idea what he's doing here. What was his purpose there? Like, why are we supposed to believe that he is a culprit? And if he was a culprit, it would have ruined the game, to be honest.
I think you have to ask yourself how the characters fit into two motives, because I think there's a motive to kidnap Maya, and then there's a motive to want to stop the demolition of the theater. So I think for each character, their motives are either to kidnap Maya or they're to save the theater, or they're both, you know?
So in the case of Brady, he has motives to make Maya disappear.
Right.
But we didn't find out about his connection to the theater until day 3.
Yeah. Honestly, you don't really find out about his motive to kidnap Maya until you know about his connection to the theater, because he will tell you, like, Maya was going to expose me.
Same,
And
okay.
I don't think you would have a reason to think he did it before then. But
Yeah. So basically, day 3 was the time where we confirmed that we absolutely had no reason to suspect him.
yeah, I think so.
And for Simone, she has all the reasons why to stage maybe
Hmm.
a kidnapping,
Yeah, I
but
think her
to
motive is just like publicity stunt. That's why you're supposed to
Yeah.
suspect her, especially because she does the wreath thing. So I think you're supposed to really
Yeah.
suspect her then. But
the demolition was, I mean, unless we find out that she has a connection with this place, an emotional connection, and she doesn't want the theater to be gone or something like that. uh,
no,
but even
that's the other character we haven't talked about yet.
yeah. So honestly though, thinking about that, yes, they are good characters, they just have weak motives in my opinion.
Well, I don't think they have weak motives. I just think that like they all have such different reasons that not all of them necessarily fit both like stopping the demolition or the kidnapping. Like the story is really different if it had been one of the other ones other than who's the
Yeah.
culprit.
But was pretty much established that the person who kidnapped Maya had to be the same person who wants the demolition stopped.
True. Although I guess like it could be that like if it had been Brady that was the villain of the game, that could have been like a cover up reason.
Yeah, but that would mean he would had to
Anyways,
have a
who brings
reason
us
to stop a
to
demolition.
Nicholas Falcone.
Yay!
Nicholas is the leader of Had It, or Humans Against the Destruction of Illustrious Theaters. They're leading a protest against the demolition of the theater. He acts as if he's innocent and only wants to help, but the police say that he has previously faked a kidnapping to save a theater. Would kidnapping Maya be a means to his end?
Nikki, since this is your husband, do you wanna introduce? Do you wanna talk
Yeah.
about him?
So I think that he is one of two people that I did suspect when I played this game because like him and Joseph, basically because like one, he has like a strong connection to the theater, which you find out about pretty much right away. Like he tells you that his grandmother worked on it. And second, he has like the history of staging kidnappings, although I'm not sure if that was actually true, that he supposedly seduced like the demolition leader's daughter or something. I don't know if that actually happened, but in general, just him being involved with Had It, I think makes him like a pretty strong suspect.
Hmm.
But
I
also,
see.
it could be that he's like too obvious a suspect for it to actually be him.
You could argue that I was gonna say Joseph would have been the obvious suspect if you think about it. Although they made a really big effort to make him friendly,
Yeah,
while Nicholas, they made him way too suspicious.
that is true.
But honestly, I would say, yeah, there was a big chance that he could have still been the culprit if you think about it, since it's been established that he's been at that theater since he was a kid. So he could have known about the secret room. He could have known about the secret passages.
Right.
So there is that establishment, and the fact that yeah, he did stage maybe did stage those fake kidnappings in the past. And I would say though that it would have been interesting if they went to the route that Maya fake kidnapped herself.
That would have been a really fun plot twist, I think, if Maya had been involved.
And yeah, honestly, they could have easily went that route, and it wouldn't have ruined anything. It would have been interesting. It would have been interesting, although the real ending was also pretty interesting. But yeah, it's they could have easily gone that route. Because if she did fake kidnap herself and she was in cahoots with Nicholas. And somehow maybe they changed the ending, and then she gets stuck somewhere. She was about to come out, but she gets stuck somewhere, so it's up to Nancy to save her, maybe
Nah,
something
leave her
like
there.
that. But
Yeah.
other than that, yeah, but other than that, I don't know. Other than that, it could have been like a real kidnapping, and Sir really lost his mind, his marbles, and actually did a real kidnapping of Maya. I don't know how was it's, but it could have been a believable scenario, in my opinion. But I'm glad though that they went the other route, because honestly, I really love Nicholas' character in this game, and I love the whole like fight the power. I love like crushing corporate America
Corporate
attitude,
Generica.
corporate Generica. That's what he said. Yeah. So honestly, though, so I'm glad it went that way, and I loved his grandma's story. I think it was his grandma. Was it his
Yeah,
grandma?
it was his grandma.
Louisa. I thought that it added more layers to the character. He has like a emotional attachment to the place, and it goes beyond just going to the theater as a kid. But his grandmother was behind art, ornaments in this theater, so it really brought more, depth to the character. Yeah. So honestly, though, I it establishes that he has motive. It establishes that, and you can see how he could have been both behind the kidnapping and the anti-demolition motive. So job well done. They nailed him, in my opinion. What about you guys?
What are you talking about? All right. For me, in regards to the characters, when I first played this, I honestly thought it was possibly Nicholas. I actually was very surprised when we do find out who the culprit is, who it was. So, at least for me. But I'm also oblivious sometimes. So, but I would say this is probably one of the games where he was top tier. Like, yeah, he's done this before, according to the police.
Yeah. I think second to the actual culprit, he had one of the strongest ties to the theater. Especially because when you find out that J.J. Thompson had cheated his grandmother out of her share of it and stuff, I think he had one of the strongest ties to it, which also made him a compelling suspect.
One.
Also, I just love how when you call the police, and the police is like, this guy takes pleasure in humiliating the police. I was like, God,
I like him even more.
I hope he's not he's not the culprit. I
Yeah.
hope he's not the culprit. Because I love him so much. Like, but like, it's okay if you fake a kidnapping. It's fine. Like, just keep humiliating the police. I support you.
In a way, Nancy also humiliates the police too, because she always solves cases before them and makes them look incompetent. So they have that in common.
I mean, it's not like the police really needs help in humiliation. They make it really easy for us to humiliate them. So, I can't really say that it was hard.
Someday we'll do an episode about how the Nancy Drew games are actually anti-police.
Yep.
Bonus episode.
Someday. Bonus episode. Can I want also to mention in the ending, that magazine cover where he's like looking at Brady's hand on his shoulder. That's a whole ass mood. Never like I've never seen so much disgust in a man's eyes and face before.
It's the
Then I
ending
saw
image
it.
of Brady embracing a gagging Nicholas.
Enemies to lovers.
No. He was disgusted. What is this insect
Oh my gosh,
touching
I
me
was
right
reading.
now?
This is back on the police comment. I was reading like somebody's blog post. Oh my gosh, I had it written down and now I can't remember. If I find it, we can link it. But they wrote for a low point, sitting there waiting for the long, boring, unaffected, and completely useless dialogues with the police officer to finish.
It's true though. Like he really provides
Yeah, I thought
nothing
that was
of
hilarious.
interest.
I was like, you're right. Before we get to our culprit, there's some honorable mentions. If I can pronounce her name.
Eustacia Andropov.
One of our phone conversations.
Honestly, though, I admire Eustacia. If I do get to that old age of 100, I hope I am just as sassy, just as depressed, and just as, grumpy as Eustacia. Like, honestly, though, like every single line from this lady is just golden. Like
It's true.
A whole ass mood. You cannot touch this lady. She's like, well, who else could it be? Like everybody else is dead. I'm like, yes, queen. Honestly, I'm so sorry I asked. Of course, you are absolutely right. Honestly, she might be one of the best phone characters in the Nancy Drew series, to be honest. I can think of maybe one other phone character that could maybe surpass her, but I would say she's in the top 3 easily. It's everything she says is so good. Like I wish I was her right now, but or maybe when I'm old enough and I could be grumpy like that, I will.
All right, and
She's
then
my
some
idol,
other
seriously.
fun facts in regards to the voice actors. The same guy who voices Brady Armstrong also voices the amazing Monty.
Oh my gosh.
Interesting.
No
Is
idea.
the robotic games thing in the basement. Yeah, sure. The guy who voices Nicholas Falcone also voices the construction worker. A lot of these people did multiple roles. So the guy who voices Joseph also voices Sergeant Mac Ramsey.
Oh, the main
Yes.
police guy we talk on the phone.
I believe so. And
Wow.
then Simone is also. I
Interesting.
don't know who Madeline is. Who's Madeline? I know it says they
Doesn't
also
ring
voice a
any
character
bells.
Madeline, but I'm like I don't remember a Madeline.
Could it be the girl from the Blueprints for the Blueprints?
Oh,
There was a receptionist. And
right. That's the same voice
it be
actress
her?
there too. And then you got Ned Nickerson in this game. He's also Sherman Trout. Yes.
Really? What? So was Scott Carty
It
doing
is Scott
Ned
Carty.
yet? He was,
doing
right?
Ned.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so he was doing the other. Okay, interesting.
Sherman Trout, another one that I
he's
liked.
both.
Yeah, Sherman
Best
Trout was a
Marvin's
real
done by
one.
Punchy LaRue.
Okay, don't come for me, but I didn't like Bess's voice in this game.
I still maintain I hate the early Bess and George voices. I'm really glad they settled on the ones they did, but they sound rough in the early games.
George is
Oh,
still Marie Nelson, who I think is from the other ones as well. All right, those are some fun facts that I noticed. A lot of the voice actors voiced multiple characters.
That makes sense because this is still pretty early on in the Her Interactive universe, so they probably didn't have a ton of money. They still don't have a ton of money, but they had even less money
That
at
was
this
cool. I thought
time.
it was cool that the guy who voices Brady is also the machine in the basement. All right, and last but not least, Joseph Hughes. Hughes.
Are you okay?
All right, so Joseph Hughes. Joseph is the caretaker of the theater who works in the projection room. He is very open and friendly. Joseph has worked at the Royal Palladium his entire life and is deeply connected to it. But he acts as though he is fine with the demolition. How far would he go to save his beloved theater? Because I don't have much to say about characters. Joseph,
Okay. Well, okay. You know what, Nikki, take it away.
I was coming up with
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
I
cold.
was gonna come up with All right.
Jade was getting
I was
there.
gonna come up with something.
All right, well, do what you want then.
No. Just kidding.
Jade's like, I quit.
First you tell me to do it, then you take it away from me. I don't know what you want from me anymore. All right.
Okay, fine. I'm so sorry.
Shabba-cha.
I'm sorry.
I mean, in regards to this game, I've played it so many times that, like, I don't know, Joseph, just every time I play it, I'm like, right, yeah, you're so nice and friendly. And I never for once thought, you know, he was never on my radar as someone who could be the culprit, really, compared to, I feel like you all were like, yeah, he's too nice. And I was, like, suspicious because there were certain things that were happening, but when I actually, like, found out in the end who the culprit is, it was like, oh.
I think with Joseph, there's like details over time that lead you to like see him as more suspicious. Like, I don't remember what the first one is. The first one that I remember is when you find out that his brother died and that he lied about moving to Arizona to like start the business with him. That's the first thing I think that makes him suspicious. There might be something that happened before then. And then there's like, I think there's a couple other things that you learn about that just make him seem like not all there, but like he's not telling the truth. I know that, like, I think third day it just kind of really builds up and it's like one thing after another. You're like, okay, yeah, it's definitely Joseph. Because, like, I think the last thing you find out that the phone call that you got, or the thing that's like testing was a recording. But I think right before that, Joseph is kind of like acting kind of weird and he's like, oh, I'm going to fix the coin machine and I'm going to do all this when the theater is about to be demolished. But yeah, I don't know. I just think with Joseph, like, I think that he starts out being very non-threatening, but if you've played a lot of Nancy Drew games, I think you would suspect him just because he's kind of one of the only characters early on who doesn't seem to have, like, a motive.
Yeah,
But
for me, I just
I
thought
don't
he
know.
was that old guy who just couldn't let go, and he was just continuing to work.
Yeah.
And, like, when it turns out his brother, like, died, I just thought he was embarrassed that he didn't have anything left for him once the theater closed.
That's fair, yeah.
So then when he, like, pops up at the end, I was like, oh, huh. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Jade, you just have a soft spot for old
I
men.
do. My grandpa's 84.
I will say, like, this is kind of a plot thing, but it kind of ties in since Joseph is the culprit. A few things that I never really understood, and I'm not sure if maybe they're explaining the game and I just didn't see it. One is, like, the call that comes from Granite City that the police are like, oh, Maya's not in the building. Who did that? Because if it was Joseph, that makes no sense because Joseph's whole plan was to get people to stop the demolition because someone was in the building. And second, who took the pizza box that Nancy found? That was Brady, right?
I
took
actually had some good points for plot holes. One of them was why did Joseph hide the shoe in the pizza boxes? Having the police believe Maya isn't in the building is ruining his plan. You'd think if anything he'd be planting more evidence in an attempt to regain their interest, not hiding it.
Right. So that one, I do think, I'm not sure if it's in the game or not, but I'm pretty sure that was either Brady or Simone that hid it, and it wasn't Joseph. Because it really doesn't make sense, like, that he would do that because he would want people to think he's in the building. And in the phone call, I'm not sure if it's explicitly stated, but I think you can assume that maybe that was Simone or Brady that did that. But I don't know. Those are two things that
How did Joseph
didn't
bring
really make
Maya
sense to
through
me.
the secret tunnel into the ladies' dressing room without Simone noticing?
True. Unless Simone
she
wasn't in
there,
there
because
at the
she
time.
noticed Nancy climbing out of her wardrobe. Surely she would have noticed Joseph and Maya coming through. Was there a second exit from the secret tunnel? If so, why wasn't it marked on the blueprint?
Yeah, so I guess I'm wondering how Joseph got Maya from Brady's dressing room through Simone's and into
Yeah,
that area
considering
that
like
she
not
was
even like
in.
5 minutes later, barely Nancy's busting through that door.
Yeah. Because he would have actually had to take her past Nancy, right? Because that area that she was in the first time was under the stage. So I think he would have had to drag her. He would have had to knock her out, drag her through Simone's dressing room, somehow get her out into the corridor and down below the stage. So Nancy should have
Yeah,
seen that.
unless Nancy had already
So yeah, it doesn't
busted
make
through the
sense
door, but which she
when she heard the
does. She does
scream.
bust through the
Yeah.
door.
She does. But I feel like how strong is Joseph? He would have had to been sprinting with like 120-pound girl and have gotten to the stage in like under 5 minutes.
I have one more plot hole about Joseph. Why does Joseph try to prevent Nancy from stopping the destruction of the theater in the endgame? This makes no sense at all. Joseph's motivation for this entire plot was to save the theater. And now that Nancy's finally found the
That's
proof that will
true.
save it, Joseph suddenly won't let her stop the wrecking ball.
Oh my gosh, that's true. I
That's so
didn't think of
true.
that.
Yeah,
On
because doesn't like when he's like, don't tell them that she's in the
Mhm.
building or something, like, yeah, he says something like that in the last day. He's like, don't tell them. And I was like, yeah, that's true. It doesn't make any sense. Like, he should have like wanted her to go give them the proof.
Well,
But
she finds the proof though. Once she gets in the attic, the secret attic, there was like the little box, and she finds proof that there's a second heir. So
mhm.
Nancy, it would have been her not when he opened the door to the projection room, but when he stopped her from getting to the side lights. That would have been the opportunity for her to tell him, "Hey, I found proof that there's another heir, and I know who it is.
Yeah.
They won't demolish now." But she didn't. She just flashed him. No, flash him with the not that kind of
The
flashing.
children's game.
The other one, the magic one.
She did a 10 things I hate about you, lifted up her shirt.
But what? Okay, well, I mean, it's already taken out of context. What is the point? But yeah, I am honestly, Jade. I'm surprised that you really didn't suspect this guy, because he was my number one suspect for this whole time.
I have a
He
hard
was my
time
number one
suspecting
suspect.
until the end, and then I'm pleasantly surprised, and I'm just like, oh. me playing these games are like, oh, huh, okay.
Mr. Hughes was Joseph Hughes. Mr. Hughes was way too nice. He was way too helpful, and I honestly though he had all of the tools. Like he knows the theater perfectly well. Or I mean, he could claim that he didn't know it that well. He never found the magician room, but could have lied. He had
I think
more
he did.
resources. Yeah, he did. Well, I mean, obviously since he put the girl there,
Yeah.
Maya there. But also the fact that he lied about his brother, even more suspicious. So honestly though, I really high up my suspect number one. But honestly, the game was making too much of an effort for us to trust Joseph. But I didn't also, when Nancy was like, make sure that the police goes to the magician room to find the evidence. Nancy, I did not consent for you to trust Joseph like this. If I was in Nancy's shoes, I would have gone back to the magician room. I would have told, okay, Joseph, if the police comes, you'll lead them here. I would have gone to the magician room and I would have slept there. I would have guarded that evidence.
How long have I been muted?
Like a guard dog. Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know.
Sorry. I accidentally dropped
my
something,
gosh.
and I think I muted myself.
That's probably, yeah. You were
Did I
muted a
answer
whole
your? I
long
don't know how
time.
you didn't know that it was
I don't think
Joseph.
so.
Well, I will end what I was saying, then you can answer. Oh, you just got crushed by an elevator.
Oh my god.
So, if I was Nancy, I would have gone back to the magician room and slept there, just to make sure that the evidence doesn't get cleaned out, because I don't trust anybody. And Nancy shouldn't have trusted Joseph. So when the evidence disappeared, I was like, Nancy, you fucked up. You fucked up. It's Joseph. Let's be real. It's a Joseph.
Did I really
Alright,
not? Did
now
you?
you
Did
can
you not
answer.
hear me answer? Oh my god! I like
No.
dropped something and I think it muted me. And oh
Wah, wah.
my god! I gave you a whole thing.
Okay,
How did I not know
well,
it
now
was
the floor is yours.
Joseph? Was your question? Yeah, I had a whole thing about how
Yeah.
me playing games is at the I literally always find out who the culprit is at the end. I'm like, oh, you should watch me play an Nancy Drew game for the first time. It's just like, oh, I didn't realize it was them. Because when I'm reading stuff or like things like that, I'm not picking up on contextual clues and things like that very well. A lot of times when I was playing these games as a kid, I just was like, oh. So a lot of these games I played when I was younger. I was like 12 to like, I don't know, into college, but like a lot of them I played in high school. So like I probably wasn't paying attention. I really did not know it was him. I was like, oh, it's Joseph. Who knew? But I didn't know who it was.
I didn't take into account.
Oh yeah, a lot of these I
kids.
played as a
Yeah.
teenager, like a preteen into teenagers. So ADHD was rampant, and I hated reading while I was playing these games. And a lot of times I played with walkthroughs. So, you know. The plus
Fair.
size, the walkthroughs never
There you
spoiled
go.
who the culprit is. It's like, you will beat the culprit now. And then I'd be like, oh, mine
Sometimes
never did.
they do. Sometimes Game Boomers does spoil it. A
Yeah.
few times they did.
I don't think I've ever gotten spoiled by Game Boomers, but not to blow my own horn, but I didn't need Game Boomers that much.
I didn't know about it as a child. I only found out about like walkthroughs when I was around 11. And funnily enough, it was because I found an Arglethump video. And I was like, oh, wow, they make walkthroughs for these games? Like,
Yeah,
before that, I would just have to figure
was
it
not
out.
smart as child. I hated reading. Now I love reading. But
Aw.
back then, I skimmed
Oh,
everything in
cool.
the Nancy Drew games. I was like, I am not reading
That's the opposite of me. I loved reading when I was a child and a teen. Now I hate reading. All I'm gonna say is I love the plot. I mean, a whole ass kidnapping. It really raises the stakes, especially since it's about your friend, your little friend, about to get demolished. Like the whole wrecking ball about to snatch her, like, and just like really wreck her up. It's not Miley Cyrus wrecking ball. It's the more deadly one. The more like, I'm going to squish you into a
This-
ton of bricks.
it.
So literally, like, honestly, I would say though, if I think about all of the mysteries throughout the whole Nancy Drew series, I think this one has the biggest stakes, because not only it is an actual friend of Nancy, but also it's up to Nancy to prevent a person of being murdered. But honestly though, there were some mysteries where someone is threatening a starlet's life, like in Stay Tuned for Danger, or someone is getting threatened. But honestly, those are randoms. It's like we never really like got that adrenaline rush over it, because we don't get the immediate sense of danger. The only people who are really into danger all this time is pretty much Nancy. Nancy is more in danger than all of the rest of the people there. But with final scene, you can sense that yes, Nancy Joseph and Maya about to get kaput, about to get bazoom. So and the music at the end, the music that really stresses you. Okay, yeah, clock is ticking, it really stresses you out. Like me as a teen, I was like, oh my fucking god, it's y'all, I'm already stressed, y'all gonna add this music to it. You're gonna
True.
and you're adding all these keys, like what you're toying with me right now. So I will say props, because the mystery is compelling. Kidnapping, saving a friend from kidnapping, genius. I really loved it. So I would say when it comes to story alone, I
Yeah,
would
gameplays,
give an A
environment,
plus.
locations. We're at a movie theater, which once was a mostly just a stage for performances for magicians. We have a lot of cool areas like hidden rooms, hidden basements, hidden passageways, dressing rooms. The whole experience.
Yeah.
We even get to go into like the ticket booth in the front, which is kind of cool because you can kind of hear like the outside people. You get to go in the video booth, mess around with the buttons up there. That's fun. Ooh, what does this button do?
I will say that in terms of puzzles, the one I like the least, just on principle, is the one where Nancy has to like
Uh,
pick up used gum to and attach it to a stick to like get something. I
I
like
don't know if I would consider that a puzzle. Which really, I don't know.
I guess it's like a challenge. I don't know what to call it because like you have to figure out how to get whatever the thing is that's on the bottom of the balcony,
The
and
f-
you have to get like some used gum and a wand.
oh
I don't know what to
yeah,
call those. They're like
yeah. I
scavenger
don't
hunt
know
type of things.
either. I don't know either. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know if we should consider it a puzzle. It could be a puzzle, to be honest. It could be
Yeah, because
one.
you kind of had to. It's kind of like how in the Sherlock games, sometimes you have to like gather objects to do something. I don't know what you call those.
Like a
Interacting.
task.
Yeah, I don't know. Object interacting, object use. I don't know.
Quick, someone call Fisher. He knows video game stuff.
Personally, I wouldn't consider it a puzzle.
Fair enough.
Honestly, about the puzzles, it's not. This game's puzzles are not really that memorable, to be
The
honest.
thing about the earlier games is they were not puzzle heavy in the way that we know puzzles in the later games. They were mostly like there were a lot of kind of like that, like find this object and do this thing, and then they would have
Mm-hmm.
some puzzles. So I think we probably have to keep that in mind when we talk about like
Mhm.
the
There's a
puzzles
lot
in
of
these games.
reused puzzles in
Yeah.
this games, like the picture puzzle, like the
Mm-hmm.
matching moving around. That one game in the front with like the sliding, that's a reused one. Yeah, the
The
music one, that's
music one,
technically
right?
reused. Some new ones, I guess, would be like figuring out how that chair works. I'd consider that a puzzle.
Is this the first appearance of that like
Yes.
genie
So that would
machine
be
thing? Because that gets used a
yeah.
lot
So
in
that's
the other
also
games.
a newer one. Messing around with the stage with the cages. Oh, I already mentioned that. That's how the chair thing works.
Honestly, maybe I would say one puzzle I enjoyed was the tile puzzle to open the magician room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one's cute.
I
It's
do
cute.
like the music one, the slider puzzle with the music notes. I do like that one.
I don't remember
It's in the
that one. What is
front.
it?
It's the. I think you have to get it.
Oh yeah. Okay, now I remember. Yes, the music gets to you after a while,
One of
but
the
it's a
lamest
fun
puzzles
puzzle.
would be that keypad on the electrified door because it's random. You remember that one?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
or to
to
get
get
out
in the
of it,
basement,
or
yes.
is it to get in?
I think it's to get in, or no, I think it's to
No,
get
out.
out.
Yeah,
It
you
gets
have to get out,
electrified,
and
but you
I'm
have to get
like,
out.
why is it
Yeah.
random?
I love how Nancy could like she sees this electrified gate and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna touch it with my bare hands." she gets fucking off to she gets fucking zapped. It's an option. That's a second chance option. Like just you being reckless and just
Yeah.
touching the door without
I
using your
have
hands.
a list of possible deaths, or some deaths that, like, I don't know. I have a list of deaths. If you want me to read
Nice.
it. Okay. So,
Yeah.
one is you can fall to your death if you lean over the balcony trying to grab the loose gear for too long. This apparently it's like the most visually interesting because the camera actually twists around you as you fall. You could be killed by the falling light backstage if you walk under it rather than looking up. You could be electrocuted by touching the fence, or the door, which we already knew. And you could be killed by the wrecking ball at the very end. I know not everyone like runs into that. Some of them, because they end up actually, I've never leaned over the balcony for that long, but
I didn't know about the balcony for the
yeah.
longest time. Because I'm not a dumbass.
Yeah,
I'm
it's saying
kidding.
like
I'm
those are
kidding.
some like deaths that like some people don't notice or get the first time they play.
I will say though, I really love the wrecking ball second chance. Like seeing the wrecking ball going towards us, very iconic. And like you sing the song while it's coming
I
towards
came in like
Nancy.
a wrecking ball.
Oh my gosh! But yeah,
Yeah.
those are pretty good. Someday we will do a ranking of all the deaths in Nancy Drew games. Tier list.
Please.
Yes.
Anything else about whatever?
I will say this though. I love the collocation, but I remember the first time I played, I was so stuck. And I will also say that for the longest time, I didn't appreciate the game as much as now, um, because of this one particular thing. It's really hard to progress in this game. Like the triggers, it's pretty hard, but also the fact that the projection room was so well hidden. For the longest time, I had no idea that there was a projection room. I was stuck in day one for so long. At some point, I was like, am I just gonna give up on this game? It's like, is this how it's gonna end? Maya is gonna die, and me, I'm just living in this theater forever. It's honestly, it's really didn't make it obvious where the projection room was, and it created a lot of frustration. Um, and honestly, the fact that you have to do these certain things in order to progress to the next day and all of that, it is very easy for you to get frustrated playing the final scene. It's like, because we gotta know what to do before you go to the next day. You cannot do it in whatever order and all of that. It could play in your advantage for the game. It could be like beneficial, but at the same time it can create some real frustration. And honestly though, as as much as I love the theater, there were way too many. It was way too big.
Really?
There was way too many spots. There were way too many spots where you could miss something, like easily miss something. Or like when you like lean over to find the coin, like imagine you didn't know you could just look over. Imagine, because you couldn't lean over on the other side. And also, all these chairs, so many chairs, and you have to go between in each aisles and check, see if there's something and all of that. It is so easy to miss something. Honestly, this whole theater there's so many doors, so many passages. It's like at this point, like you don't even know if you've been here or not. um, I don't know if I would say it's a bad quality, but I can see why it could frustrate a lot of new players. This kind of environment is just, it's like repeating. You just stay in one theater the whole time, so it's not. There's not much to see. there's not much to see. But I will say though, I really love the posters. We love the posters. A lot of Easter eggs over there too. Really nice. So I
Yeah,
will say that.
I just remember getting stuck a lot and not progressing to the next day. I like remember that being a struggle to do personally. There was a couple times where like I'm like, what am I missing? So I get like the frustration of it being too big, considering you can go into the theater, down almost every single row, and then you can go into the wing, like into the hallways, and then you can enter the theater from the hallways, and then you can go upstairs. You can like there's just a lot of space, and then there's hidden passageways, hidden basements within basements. Like it's a lot. I definitely agree. You can get easily lost and confused and miss something within like a split 2 seconds because
Yeah, I don't know if it's just us or me, just me. But this game, I feel like compared to his the other people like no, not other people, other games like Treasure in the Royal Tower, Message in the Haunted Mansion, Secret Scarlet Hand, all the games around that area. Final Scene was the one I was struggling with the most
mm-hmm.
at progressing in the game. I'm not sure exactly if it's just me not figuring out the triggers to go to the next day or stuff like that, but it created a lot of frustration. I will say though, Scarlet Hand has some messed up triggers. When we'll get to that, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But Final Scene is pretty close. It is pretty close. But in double with the fact that you can get lost in that theater. Honestly, though, it can get frustrating. And honestly, if I compare it with the museum from Scarlet Hand, honestly, that's Museum of Scarlet Hand. Personally, for me, it was way easier to navigate than the the theater from the final scene. I don't know. Maybe it's
Oh wait,
controversial
I had one
opinion, but
more
that's how
thing
I
is that
feel.
this game doesn't have Easter eggs.
When did they introduce Easter eggs? I
I
don't
don't
think the older
know.
games had them. I want to say it was with the the third UI that they had, the Wardings at Waverly Academy era
Mm-hmm.
UI. I think it was then that they had Easter eggs. I don't think that like the classic
Yeah,
older games had
no,
Easter eggs.
no Easter eggs in this game apparently. I can't wait.
I never bothered with Easter eggs, so I can't say anything
I
about
feel like
that.
I accidentally find them most of the time. I don't really
Yeah.
bother to
Okay,
get
so
them
we're going to
either.
do our overall opinions.
I would say my overall opinions of Final Scene are this is a game I actually really enjoy. The one of the things I enjoy about it the most is I really like how just unfiltered and sassy Nancy is in this game. I think this is like probably the most sarcastic we see her. Like she is just going off on everybody. She is not here for anyone's bullshit, and I love it. I also like the setting of this game. I think I really like the theater, although I really don't think it should have been in St. Louis, Missouri. I think it would have worked better somewhere else, or honestly, even in River Heights, I think would have been interesting. And I actually think the plot works. Like, you feel really bad for the culprit because Joseph isn't an evil guy. He's just a guy who, kind of got in over his head and had all these tragic things happen to him, and so I feel like you actually kind of feel bad for him, which makes him a more compelling culprit. And so I guess I would say I would give this game, I think, an 8 out of 10, just because I don't think it's a perfect game, but it's a pretty damn good game.
All right, so this game is absolutely iconic. Honestly, though, it really changed the game for me personally. I Message on Haunted Mansion good, Treasure Royal Tower good, but this game though really took it a step further. Honestly, though, having Nancy having to stop her friend getting killed. I mean, how can you not think it being a compelling story, a compelling mystery, where really talking about high stakes here. So I would say we're already captivating some people. But other than that, we have a compelling cast. We have some good characters. Half of them we absolutely hate, so that's good. And half of them we have to stand. Like
Yes.
Eustacia. We must stand. They gave us Eustacia Andropov. And honestly, though, like soon as we're done recording, I'm just gonna go back playing the grumpy old woman because she's just goals. And honestly, I just think that this game, if it wasn't for the lack of gameplay and a bit of the janky triggers, also maybe the setting is kind of makes it more confusing. Even though we have all of these, the pros really much outweighs the cons for me. Honestly, by the end of this game, it's like, bam, you have a really good mastery and absolutely like re-ended well. I will say this though, I got really mad shit for sympathizing with Joseph at the end. Got really mad shit over it. But I will say this though, they just although I can say like, okay, he threatened my friend's life, so yeah, he fucked up. I can still sympathize with him over why he did all of this. And honestly though, this makes they had good characters, good story, compelling setting, and all of that. I would say this game, I would recommend it to anybody. Honestly, maybe not for the first time, maybe not, but it would still be a game that I would absolutely recommend to anybody who gets into the Nancy Drew and the train. Nancy Drew train, yeah. So I would I would still give it just an 8 out of 10. I was thinking between 8 and 9, but I was thinking I would still put it maybe the same level as Treasure in the Royal Tower. My rating for Treasure in the Royal Tower. It's not exactly 9 because it's not near perfect.
Overall,
but it's
this
up
game is
there.
one that I would recommend playing. It sticks true to the book. The book plot, actually, in my opinion, out of all of them, it still has the similar like kidnappings, and they're in the building, and that made no sense. It's very like similar to the books in the sense that like it follows the plot verbatim. The only difference is they added in a character instead of using Bess, which I find a little strange, but maybe they weren't ready to have Bess in the games just yet as an actual person and wanted her to stay more as somebody you call. I think in this game they are the people you call for hints. I will say that the plot is interesting in that retrospect, but there are those major plot holes that I mentioned earlier within it. So I think I would give this game a 7 out of 10. I'd play it multiple times, actually. I'd recommend it, but those plot holes knock it down a little bit for me. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can find The Real Housewives of River Heights on any podcast streaming service such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Check out our Patreon for bonus content and access to our episodes early. Follow us on all of our social medias, links in the bio. Thank you again, and goodbye!
Bye.
Which brings us to
Joseph.
Yes,
No,
Joseph.
no. Nicholas Falcone.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay. Well, that was a fair. Do you want it? Do you want
Which
you did.
y'all forgetting about
Okay,
him.
My husband-
hold on. Like we can have that part as the blooper.